Yeah. Okay.
Is it too early to ask a question?
I know. Go ahead. What's your question?
Have you had any sex with persons with Parkinson?
Parkinson's responds very well to glutathione enhancement. Um, if you elevate glutathione levels in a person with Parkinson's, the shaking gets disrupted. So it's really one of those oxidative stress situations. So I would try that person on between 6 and 9, capsules 3 times a day, and then just reduce it to whatever keeps them, for maintenance.
Okay, and she's 90 years old, so she open the capsules and put it in water.
Yeah, mix it in a smoothie or whatever she likes. You can mix it in whatever, applesauce or whatever she likes.
Okay, and that's EMF, right?
EMF or the methylated. I might start with the methylated just because it's 4 less ingredients, so and less of a chance of there being something that she might react to. That might be the only reason I would start with that.
One more question. What are some of the reactions a person can have from starting the product?
Herxheimer effect.
Who?
Herxheimer effect is detox reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So people detox in different ways. It depends on what's in their body. Some people have been exposed to, lead in Flint, Michigan. Some people have been exposed to asbestos paint. Some people have been exposed to toxins in their food, antibiotics, you name it. It could be any kind of toxins inside the body, and they could be anywhere in the body. So as a person starts to detox, different people will detox different ways. Okay. Reactions could be different. One common detox reaction is headaches, fatigue, lethargy. Some people may cough a little bit initially. Some people I've heard, sometimes very, very rare, some people have a slight elevation in their blood pressure, because toxins are being dumped into the bloodstream. Okay. The blood starts to get a little thicker, and that's causing the headaches, and sometimes can make pressure go up a little bit.
How about stomach discomfort?
Stomach discomfort? Stomach discomfort could come because they're gluten intolerant, and they just have a hard time breaking down things like the capsules. My mother-in-law couldn't break down the gel capsules, the capsules that the microdata was in. My wife too. We had to open up the capsules and mix it in something because her stomach couldn't break it down. It sits in there like a brick. So everybody could detox different ways, but in about 2 weeks, it usually passes. Instead of going backwards and slow down and going away, they should lean into it, take even more and drink water.
Okay, and open the capsules.
Yeah, that could be one way of doing it. Yeah. But drink plenty of water. That's a big deal. Okay. All right. Good bunch of questions. Boy, you just gonna get us started just right out the gate, huh?
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, that's fine. So we got a few folks that are with us now. Sonia Anthony's made it. Marie, James Carter. That name really looks familiar. This James Carter. I know a James Carter. I'm not sure if I know that James Carter, but I know a James Carter.
My son-in-law is a James Carter. So when I seen that, I was like, is that my son-in-law and my daughter? But I don't know.
Okay. All right. So we're dealing with an identity crisis right now.
Right.
Mary G is here. Sharon Robinson, Rob Martin, Shannon Shaw, Christine Gaddy, Sayon Baptiste. And we have a Sonia Harris that is also here. So welcome, all of you to our discussion for today. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves started. And I thank you all very much for joining us. As you saw, the meeting is being recorded. So that means it's made available. Some have wondered, how can I get the recording? What if I missed part of it? What if I want to play part of it again or share a portion of it, with someone who missed it? just look on your screen, especially if you're on a computer or desktop. You should see a little thing that says live YouTube. And somewhere associated with that is how you can get the link for it. I'm tapping on it right now, but right now I don't see where it tells me how I can get the link. But I do see a thing that says I can click on to go live on YouTube. Once you go live on YouTube, then you can copy that link. But it used to be right there that you can capture the actual link. They must have upgraded it and eliminated that feature. But that's one way that you can get the link to view it later, because once it's live on YouTube, that same link is available for replay for later. We have several folks that are viewing online. Some of our viewers, that's the only way that they view. They just wait for a notification that there's something live, and they tap in on there. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are viewing us live on YouTube, we appreciate it when you comment as the discussion is going along. Feel free to do that. Use the chat. I don't see it directly, since some of the co-hosts and others see it, and if I don't bring attention to it, just feel free to, at some point, you can ask your questions later. Some room for questions a little bit later on, so feel free to plan for that. So, my name is Jonathan Jones. Pleasure and privilege to be your host and moderator for the evening. Today is Tuesday, and it's Tuesday, January the 10th, 2023. So the first 10 days of the new year has just about lapsed. And it's a fun thing about time. You know, once you've used it, it's the only completely unrenewable commodity that we have. Once it's used, it's gone, and it's gone forever. So use time wisely. And I applaud you for taking time to join a discussion like this, because there's so many other things that you could be doing on a day like today, spending time with the family and otherwise. But there's something here that someone invited you here because there may be some piece of information that might be of value to you in making a decision about your health and well-being. But realize, folks, that what I'm sharing, the FDA has not evaluated. I'm sharing information for just information purposes only. What I'm presenting is for information, educational purposes only. And you can take this information into consideration when you're making decisions about your health and well-being, because let's just face it, nowadays, more often than not, many doctors, including doctors that are partners of mine, I'm not a medical doctor, my partners, they'll say the same thing, that many times the conventional system that he's a part of, that they're a part of, they just don't have all the answers, and they feel helpless sometimes. And so it's a real challenge for them. And I'm sure you faced that yourself. I remember the cold, harsh reality of that when I watched my mother die, because she was in intensive care, one of the best hospitals in South Florida. But the intensive care nurse said to me that they were praying for my mom's immune system to kick in. And I really just thought that for the kind of money that they were being paid by the insurance company, that they were doing a little bit more than just sitting around praying. I'm a firm believer in the power of prayer, firm believer in the power of prayer. We had that covered, though. And I certainly didn't need the hospital doing that. But they had nothing to offer. Again, I'm not anti-hospital, and I'm not anti-doctor by any means, because like I just said, you know, some of my best friends and partner are doctors and medical professionals. But what we do with the company that my wife and I established, called the Healthcare Support Association of America, is a nonprofit organization. It's all about providing education and information that you and I can use to help the doctor that's helping us. So it's all about being a part of the system and helping the system do what it's designed to do. In fact, when I interviewed doctors, I asked them what's the one thing that they wish that they could that they would like to see in their patients and their clients. And they said that all doctors would like to have their patients, first of all, be compliant. If they tell them to take a certain pill one time, 3-4 times a day, they'd like for them to do it the way that they tell them to do it. Another one, he said the second thing would be that they would love it if their patients could very clearly express to them what's wrong, instead of making the doctor try to figure out what's going on. So if it hurts when you do a certain thing, keep track of that. Tell them, express what it is that's actually going on. And the last thing they said was that they would love it if their patients were mentally and emotionally involved in the results, that they took a vested interest in what was taking place. So if they were mentally and emotionally involved, instead of just waiting for the doctor and expecting the doctor to produce miraculous results, be mentally and emotionally involved. And so our goal is to help you to be mentally and emotionally involved and give you tools to be able to do that, not to replace your doctor. That's up to you if you decide you don't like your doctor. But our goal here is to help the doctor that's helping you. So there's maybe one quick testimonial here. I'm going to see if it'll play that may be of benefit, just to kind of lay the foundation for our discussion. Sometimes hard to find these testimonials. They're embedded in the actual videos where the presentations themselves ran. So hang on just a second here. Let's just see if I can find it. And just take a minute here. Okay. And let you just see. Let's see.
Husband came last Friday.
Okay, this is Beth. She just shared a testimonial for us this past weekend with Dr. Court. So let's see if we can't get Beth to share her story with us right now. She's telling us about, I believe, one of her clients that had an issue with dementia and got some pretty interesting results. 1 second.
And when he got there, he was quiet, head down, shoulders bent, just not there. And I gave him the hydro right away. I felt like that would probably be the best thing to give him. Put in 8 ounces of water, quickly. And they both drank it. And so about an hour later, you just saw his demeanor changing right away. And I have a little grandbaby who's 2. So she was in there entertaining too, which always helps. But about an hour later, we made him a protein shake and then gave him the microdaily EMF, the brain, the eye, and the CBD boost with the protein shake. So we made sure they had everything.
Yeah, you hit them with the kitchen sink.
And that's right. And that's why I love people coming to me, because then I can, introduce it correctly. So he was a whole new person when he left. And, Miranda and I talked, throughout the week and that. It's just a blessing to see people. I'm recovered from brain injury. I'm recovered from being poisoned by big transmission power lines too close to my house. And
Wow.
So I know what it's like to not be able to have a thought. When I went through neurological psychology testing, I was less than a 2-year-old. I had my brain was really jacked up. My nervous system, my endocrine system. I'm medically diagnosed, so I can say all this, but the microdaily has changed my life around since last April. So I take everything every day, several times a day. And my grandbaby takes about 12 gummies a day. She loves them, and we love them too. So thank you, Dr. Prasad. I really appreciate what you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beth.
Now that was Beth sharing her story there at the end. I can't find, I don't remember exactly where in this discussion Miranda told her story, but that kind of gives you an idea of the kind of power behind what we're talking about. What is it that Beth was talking about? And Miranda's story, if I can find a little later in our discussion, I'll play that for you. But what is it that that Beth was talking about? She's near power lines, and she said she was poisoned by power lines. I mean, we all have lived near power lines before. I mean, it took her back to being a 2-year-old, disrupted her thought processes, and she couldn't function. And she puts a micronutrient, a vitamin, that she starts taking, and she says that it's made a difference. And we could hear her right there. And she's now medically diagnosed with that. So she's not just giving hyperbole. She's not just giving some example of her situation. She was discussing a medical diagnosis. So let's talk about exactly what could do that. What potentially it was involved in Beth and Miranda's story. How is it that she could have potentially, gotten the kind of results that she's claiming to have gotten? And keep in mind, as we talk about testimonials are purely anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to you. So we strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. So, and I constantly say this: don't do anything I say because I say it. So I'm providing information that is for information and educational purposes only, and information that you can take into consideration when making a decision about your health and well-being. So, okay. So this brochure, by the way, everyone has access to this brochure. What I'm about to show you electronically here is something that you can just, if you're here for the first time, just get back with your sponsor and tell them that you'd like to have a copy of this brochure, or they can email it to you. But it's a very easy way of just getting a snapshot of what Micro Daily is, what micronutrients are, and the story behind it. And it's not a tale. It's not a fantasy. This really happened. So what Beth, Miranda, and many of us have found, I've been fortunate to find in our lifetime, is the first 2 words of this title, daily nutrition. Now, we were all raised to think that the food pyramid is where you get all the nutrition you need to sustain life, and it's structured in such a way that you can balance your diet out, and everything's supposed to be fine. But the truth of the matter is, the majority of illnesses and issues that people have today mimic malnutrient states. And that's not an original quote from me, because it's Dr. Linus Pauling who said that every disease is rooted in a vitamin and mineral deficiency. And very interesting that Dr. Prasad met Linus Pauling. And he said when Linus Pauling was receiving his Nobel Peace Prize, he continued to make reference to Dr. Kedar Prasad in his speech giving the Nobel Peace Prize, because they laughed Linus Pauling off the stage when he claimed that every disease was rooted in vitamin and mineral deficiency. It just made no sense. But no one's laughing today, because it's true. Just do the research. You see it for yourself, that no matter what it is that's ailing someone, it began with a deficiency in nutrition. So Engage Global wisely entitled this brochure, Daily Nutrition to Live Your Best Life. So this is not a cure-all, and that's not what we're claiming, but we are calling it daily nutrition. It's the food that's missing from food. Dr. Prasad found it and made it back available to all of us. So the caption on the bottom says, the world's most scientifically validated micronutrient supplements. The world's most scientifically validated micronutrient supplements. And that is a powerfully true statement, because I've not come across anything that meets this standard. And the reason I can say that is because of the genesis, because of the origin, because of where this began. This product began not in a boardroom, not in a brainstorming room, not in a conference room at a vitamin company. But this product began with the United States government having a desire to optimize the health of soldiers on the battlefield. and to keep them in optimum top performance, not just because of their physical ability, but biochemically as well. They want to give them something that can improve their performance, enhance it and improve it. In fact, there's a patent that has that exact title, optimal performance of active and veteran servicemen members. There's a patent that that indicated this is the micronutrient formula for optimizing the performance of active and veteran service members. So it was the United States government that did this. See, microdata was originally formulated for our US troops. That's what they said. It was all about them on the battlefield. This is what it originally looked like, because the package was designed to fit on the side of their Army fatigues. So were it not for the fact that the United States government desired it for that particular purpose, we would not have access to this. And when they decided to drop the contract and discontinue the use of it for whatever reason, because, you know, that's the way government works. When they decided to discontinue the program, that package right that we're looking at and the formulation of it and the 20-some million dollars that it cost, that was spent to develop this, would have just been buried, like it didn't even exist. So, but here we are now where Dr. Prasad answered the call. He was the one who responded to the call from the Department of Defense. And this product went through years of study, animal studies, human trials, and clinical studies were done. But one of the most interesting parts of this whole thing is this 9 months of safety testing with the U.S. Military Internal Review Board. That's no small thing. And that's, generally speaking, the reason why big vitamin companies would not be interested in this kind of thing, because it's just not financially advantageous. And these are, you know, of course, my opinions, and I do believe that my opinions are accurate. But it's just not financially advantageous to have to spend the kind of money that was necessary to get this product to come to the fore and come to the market. But 9 months. So that meant that Dr. Prasad had to prove and prove and prove again that this formula was safe, harmless, and did not contraindicate with any known pharmaceutical drugs. And so he's made that clear to us and has said that. So over $24 million has been invested behind this, and there's 7 United States patents on the product that was originally formulated that became what we have today. And you just kind of think about that, and that kind of begins to explain why Beth could have had the kind of benefits, the results that she had. Because think about it, you know, here she is near high power lines, and who knew that it would be poisoning her? She just happened to be the canary in the mine, because if it's affecting Beth, believe you me, it's affecting all of us. We're all being affected. She just happened to be hypersensitive to it. And a micronutrient can make a difference. That was the whole plan. The whole idea was for a micronutrient to make a difference like that in the harshest, most toxic environment on the face of the earth. So, and NASA also. So we're talking NASA and the Department of Defense. So those are very harsh environments that humans would have to work in. And Dr. Prasad knocked it out the park. See, he happened to have been the world's first radiation biologist, PhD. So he knew quite a bit about radiation, and he understood that. So he was able to put together a formula that actually would cause the body to repair damaged DNA that's been damaged by low-dose ionizing radiation. So that's pretty remarkable. He was the professor at the University of Colorado School of Medicine for 30 years. So we're not just talking about Dr. Prasad here, we're talking about Professor Prasad. So that, folks, really is a big deal. So he's brilliant. He's a teacher of doctors. So that's what he did. But he also was invited to be a member of the Nobel Peace Prize nominating committee. So we have total brilliance at our possession right now. He has authored 32 books, not 29, and he's been published more than 250 times. His latest publication is about anti-aging, and I'm going to be interviewing him this coming weekend and the weekend to follow on his latest medical publication. So you want to invite your guest to come to one of those meetings, or both of them, because it'll be part 1 and part 2 will be the discussion with Dr. Prasad on that. So these two gentlemen came together, Dr. Kedar Prasad and David Nemelka. David Nemelka was the one that had the money, and this company, Engage Global, was born. Nemelka purchased the intellectual property and is now the sole owner of Engage Global. And Dr. Prasad saw him to be, as he said, a man of integrity, and he believed that his vision of seeing this product reach the masses, reach the world, and not get buried in some warehouse, military warehouse, is closer to reality today than it ever was. And the fact that you're here, especially if you're here for the first time, means that you're hearing about something that seriously 20 years ago did not exist as far as you and I were concerned. That I first heard about it, and I didn't believe it, but it was proof to me that it actually did, in fact, work. Very different from any other multivitamin that anyone has ever conjured up. It is, in fact, the world's most scientifically validated supplement, and it's a micronutrient of a whole different caliber. Look at the benefits. Benefits to the immune system, benefits to anti-inflammatory, benefits to inflammation, benefits to anti-aging. That's what we're going to be talking about this weekend. Joint and pain relief. So the benefits are really voluminous. We just really scratched the surface. And you look at this list of ingredients, and it doesn't really look like anything special, except if you zero in on just a couple things. This one right here, I think, is just one of the most outstanding ones. There's more than one type of vitamin E, but vitamin E succinate happens to be cytotoxic to cancer cells. Vitamin E succinate just happens that it will kill cancer cells. Some brilliant scientist figured that out, that's the particular vitamin E that would do that. Oh, wait a minute, that was Dr. Prasad that figured that out. Yeah, Dr. Prasad was the scientist that figured that out. You could do the research and look it up for yourself. He's the one that figured it out. And if you have to have vitamin E in your body, I would dare say that would be the one to choose. I mean, I would, because every day our body is trying to produce cancer cells. It is producing cancer cells every single day. We have that activity going on. And every day our immune system is routinely taking care of the problem. But it'd be nice to have a little help from a friend. And that's what vitamin E succinate is doing. But in addition to that, all these other things benefit the body in helping to elevate and create lymphocytic glutathione. Glutathione is the body's master antioxidant. So you got all these exogenous antioxidants, which you also are triggering the production of the master endogenous antioxidant that the body makes. And that means you're dealing with inflammation and oxidative stress on a phenomenal level. A phenomenal level. It's a big deal. But get a copy of this brochure and you can read through the details yourself. There is no other vitamin that meets the CQF standard of combination quantity and form. No one else has adhered to that standard. So when you see that seal on these packages, that means something. It's in a class of excellence that no one dares to try to achieve. So some people have asked the question, well, what's the difference between your vitamin and this vitamin that I'm already taking? You know, folks actually say that. And I said, well, you know, one of them, you could just go to Walgreens and buy it for $8 off the shelf. And it didn't take $24 million to formulate it and to develop it. So there's no research behind it. It's just a combination of things is what that is. So I see a hand that popped up here, Denali Roberts. I'm going to try to get your questions all at the end, but go ahead, Denali, if you have something that can't wait.
Okay, this is her mother, Stephanie. I have two ladies on call that are on the vitamins. This is Stephanie. And
Hi,
one
Stephanie.
want to know, do it make you go to the bathroom after she do?
Yes.
In a whole lot.
Yeah, it can, of course, because because the body starts to detox. And once the body starts to detox,
Okay.
whatever does not belong in your body, it needs to go out through the front or through the back. So it will often stimulate a lot of activity that was not there before.
Yes. Okay. That's all we need to know. She's
Okay.
still on. I got another lady coming on. So go ahead, brother. Go ahead and talk.
All right, very good. So very good question there. And a lot of folks have asked that question. In fact, Cheryl Slaughter and I was having that conversation just at the very beginning is, what are some of the things that people might experience after taking this product? And the first thing I thought of was Herxheimer effect. Herxheimer effect is a detox reaction. So with all of what I just mentioned here, with all that activity going on, that's a mouthful, by the way. That page you're looking at there on the left side of the screen is a mouthful. That is a massive amount of soldiers in your body that's running around looking for anything that don't belong. That's what that is right there. This is no joke. If something does not belong in your body, you got an army now hunting it down everywhere. And they bind it, put it in handcuffs, and take it over to the nearest exit. That's hitting it into the lymphatic system. It's got to go out through the front or out through the back. That's what these items here are. I mean, I just kind of brushed it off, but that's a big deal, what we're looking at right here. And the particular quality is what makes it stand out better than anything else on the planet. And believe me when I tell you, my mother died, I'm telling you this, back in the year, it was 2002, early 2002. So that's 20 years ago now. 10 years before that, my wife and I decided that we don't want to get the diabetes that my mom had and her father had. So we began to do making our own adjustments and started researching nutrition and health and herbs. We studied kinesiology and every ology you can think of out there because we wanted to make some adjustment. We didn't want to be here today with what we saw our parents dealing with. So we knew we need to make some changes and adjustments right then and there. So I've been looking at this stuff now. Do the math. That's more than 30 years. And I've never seen one like this. This one is in a category all by itself. I do have other great products now. So when I've been doing research, I found some stuff. I found some really incredible things out there that are just amazing. But this one, for the money, is in a whole different category all by itself. But let me just show you a couple little things here that illustrates the point. This is an illustration of what a normal cell should look like. But as you start getting slammed with free radicals and oxidative stress, it's trying to take a chunk out of your good cells. That's what a free radical is trying to do. A free radical is trying to take a chunk out of your cells. And you see how it looks a little bit beat up? Well, if that happens enough, it gets to this point. Now, you want to illustrate that a little bit better. Think of an apple. I just had an apple. But if I cut that apple open and left it on the counter, eventually that apple starts to turn brown, right? That's oxidative stress. That's this taking place right here. Leave it there long enough, the apple starts to degrade. That's happening at the cellular level inside all of our bodies. That leads to dis-ease. That's what that is. That's disease in the making, is our cells being attacked at the cellular level like this. Because that's just a drawing that we're looking at right here. But imagine if that cell that you're looking at on the left is part of your liver, and a free radical can get a hold of it and takes it over there to the one on the right. You think that cell was by itself? If one was being attacked, many of them were being attacked that way. Let enough of it happen, and that liver becomes weaker and weaker and weaker. That pancreas becomes weaker and weaker. The heart muscle becomes weaker and weaker. Every organ in the body being attacked like that is disease. That's what that is. And it's inflammation in our joints, in our knees, in our neck, in our back. Everywhere that we don't want inflammation, that's what's taking place. And gentlemen, that happens to the prostate right there. That's what happens. That's why the discomfort sets in. Do children need it? Absolutely, yes. We've made the best gummy on the planet. And I really would like for them to almost take the word kids formula off that, because I've been eating those gummies here lately as a snack. Instead of running Instead of running for a Snickers or some candy or something else when I'm really jonesing for something, I grab a bottle of those gummies now and I pop 2 or 3 of those in, cured. No more craving. Craving is gone. After I eat a meal, you know how you kind of get that little lethargic feeling, you know, you just want to kind of take a little bit of a nap, chew 4 of those gummies. No insulin resistance. Because by the way, that little bit of lethargy that you're feeling right after you eat, that's because all of the sugar, all the food from what you just ate didn't penetrate into the cell, because what we eat should energize us. If we're feeling a little bit lethargic after we eat, it's because not everything that we ate was converted and being used by the cells because of insulin resistance. Right now, there's 96 million people that are pre-diabetic or in a insulin resistant state, and many don't even know it's happening. Don't even know that it's happening right now. So listen to me carefully. Chew about 3 or 4, or just 2 of those gummies after you eat, or take 1 capsule of Micro Daily after you eat, and watch that all that fatigue just start to go away. It's pretty amazing. But Dr. Prasad didn't just stop with the brilliance of what he invented for the government. He realized that radiation and EMF was just the beginning, because the internet came along and people were demanding faster and faster and more powerful cell phones. And we all have very powerful cell phones right by us. Some people put it inside their lapel pockets. People put it in their back pockets. But today's 5G technology is 700 times more powerful than the original cell phone technology. Did you see that, folks? 700 times more powerful. So we're being slammed by radiation right now, every day, all day long. And you might be saying to yourself, I don't have a smartphone. I don't have a 5G phone. I got a simple, basic flip phone. That's all I got. That don't apply to me. Yes, it does, because 5G is everywhere. That's like putting something in the microwave, in the corner of the microwave, and putting your plate in the middle and thinking that the egg in the corner of the microwave is not going to be affected by the microwave running around in there. It will. It's everywhere. I don't recommend microwaves, by the way. So just to be clear. So don't think that I'm suggesting that. But Dr. Prasad added 4 more ingredients to Micro Daily EMF to help further deal with the increased amounts of radiation that we're being exposed to today. So Micro Daily is great. Micro Daily EMF is just much, much better when it comes to dealing with the radiation. That's all, okay? And CBD is, in my opinion, one of the best things ever invented. CBD comes from cannabis. It stands for cannabidiol. And before you think that all cannabis is created equal and that any cannabis is evil, that's not true. Marijuana is evil and is illegal by some definitions. But hemp also produces CBD, or cannabidiol. And hemp is not illegal, and it has no THC. That's what produces the psychotropic effect. So CBD from hemp is okay, and this is certified to be from the hemp plant. And it's really good. I take one of those every night before I go to sleep, and I have my wife taking it once or twice every day. Good for anxiety, good for stress, blocks cortisol, and definitely helps you sleep deeper and better. This is the methylated formula of the Micro Daily. So it's like in between the green and the red bottle. So this is halfway. It's like a halfway step between the two. The hydro is the powder form that you can put in a bottle of water, shake it up, and it just turns into a liquid. It tastes really good too, by the way. So that's great. And I think one of the best kept secrets on the planet besides Micro Daily is this stuff right here, Brain Boost. Woo. Let me tell you, I take 2 of those in the morning. It's like having a double shot of espresso. Just lights things up. I took 2 just before this presentation. Now, I usually try to take 1 or 2 before the presentation. That way my forgetfulness is less. So stuff that I haven't thought about in a while starts to pop up. But that's really good. I call it the cure for sometimers. You know what that is, right? You walk into the room and wonder, why in the world did I come in here? You got to go back out, sit back down, do what you was doing, and remember why you had to go in the room to get whatever it is you went there to get. So that's sometimes. So that helps with that those memory issues. The eye boost, phenomenal. I still remember the first time that I decided to start taking 2 of those at a time, and my computer screen looked like it was in ultra high definition. So that's a wonderful product. So you could take 2 or 3 or 4 of those even a couple times a day, and you'll see benefits. But the label says 1 twice a day, but you cannot overdose on any of these products. So just keep that in mind. But just one last thing as far as this radiation is concerned, this illustrates the anti-radiation properties of micro daily. Okay, and again, why Beth could say what she said, how it's possible that Beth could have got the results that she got. This woman said that she was being poisoned by high power lines, and micro daily EMF made the difference for her. She described someone who had dementia, and she gave them the products, and within an hour, she saw just waking up and coming back to life again. So amazing as that may be. But these 2 specimens that you see on the screen, these are lung tissues, and from 2 different rabbits, bunny number 1 and bunny number 2. Both of them ate really well. So they gave their lives in the name of science. So don't feel bad about them. There was a medical scientific reason for this. It wasn't cruelty to animals. It was a test that was authorized. They went over to the Space Center. So maybe that'll make you feel a little bit better. They went to the Space Center. So they had a nice little trip over to Houston to the NASA Space Center, and they got to see the space shuttle, and maybe they took a ride on it, who knows? But that's where they had high enough radiation to do this test. Dr. Prasad described this to us himself. Well, the bunny on the left had a nice meal, but his meal didn't have any of the food that's missing from food. He ate what everybody else is eating today. That's what he ate. The bunny on the right had a nice meal, but he also was supplemented with the food that's missing from food. They both got slammed with radiation, but the one on the left, number 1, that's what his lungs looked like after he got slammed with radiation. The one on the right, that's what his lungs look like. Which one do you think better mirrors the way a lung should look like? Well, let me just eliminate that question, because the one on the left looks like that bunny was smoking for all of its life. The one on the right, that's the way tissue is supposed to look. Nice and healthy, as if it was never exposed to radiation at all. If you don't take micro daily for any other reason, think about those lungs and what it's doing to the insides of our body. I've actually had people say, I didn't notice any difference when I took it. So think about this. Cancer could have started as much as 20 years ago. Who felt it when it first started? The first free radical, the first DNA that got damaged by an oxidant. Who felt it? The first cell that got damaged by a free radical. Who felt it? You're not consciously aware of millions of things going on inside the body. So you won't be consciously aware when millions of things stop going wrong inside the body. That's what's happening. Just understand and respect the science. You don't have to feel anything or know anything to know that it's taking place. This is a scientific fact that this took place. And we have the scientists who led the team that did it. They also proved scientifically that when DNA is damaged by radiation, it repairs within 48 hours, 100%, when you put the food that's missing in food. It's one of the most amazing things I'd ever heard in my entire life. So you don't have to feel anything to put this in your body. Everybody should. But if that's not a good enough reason for you to take it, then just do the research. You go online and you look for patent number 7605145. Just do the research for US patent number 7605145. Search for it, find it for yourself, and you'll see that the title of that patent is micronutrients formulation for treatment of diabetes mellitus. How come nobody telling you about this stuff? How come nobody telling us that this exists? How come nobody mentioned this to seniors, that this exists? Why is the number of the cases of diabetes, why is the number going higher? Why is it 37 million now and expected to hit 50 million in short order? Why is it 96 million pre-diabetics now and expected to exceed 100 million in short order? Why is it projected to be 150 million diabetics and pre-diabetics in the next 20 to 30 years? Diabetes is on the rise. Why is this one of the best kept secrets in the world? That the United States government issued that patent for a micronutrient formulation, that it has the ability to treat diabetes, among these other patents. So you can see the titles of the others on here, right there on the screen. Get the brochure for yourself. Just speak to the person that invited you, and they'll get you a copy of this brochure. This is just some of the books that Dr. Prasad has written. He knows a little something about radiation, diabetes, cancer, Alzheimer's, heart disease, Parkinson's disease, Huntington's disease, concussions, TBI or traumatic brain injury, and the list just goes on and on and on. This is what we have at our fingertips right now as we speak, folks. And this is the reason why I personally am happy to be passing this information on to anybody who's looking to help the doctor that's helping them. I believe that this is the one thing that you can do in your life that would be a benefit and make the doctor say, wow, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. We hear that so many times over the past year. Boy, if I had a nickel for every person who ever said that their doctor said to them, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. If I had a nickel for that, I'd be wealthy right now. Because every doctor's saying the same thing. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. They won't take what you're doing and pass it on to the rest of their doctors, because the patients, because guess what? If all their patients was taking it, what would happen? Cheryl Slaughter?
They'll go out of business.
He'd go out of business. I had one doctor say to me, I was giving a lecture to a room full of doctors. One of them came up to me after the meeting. He says, tell me this, young man. Why would I give my patients something I can make $250 on when I could put them in the system and make $250,000 on them? Why would I do that? Yeah. That's the conversation I had with one of them. So that's all I'm telling you. I'm just passing it on. That's what was said to me. And again, I love and respect doctors and the medical system because we need it. We need it. But if you want to help the doctor that's trying to help you, help yourself. Help yourself. Find information that could be beneficial to you and to people that you care about. Avoid being part of the statistic. Okay, let's pause here and get a couple of questions in before we wrap up our discussion. Let's see, Stephanie Roberts, I think, asked the question earlier, masqueraded as somebody else. So Alfreda Strong has a question or a comment. Please, Alfreda.
Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon or good evening, everybody. I just wanted to make a comment. Today, I met a customer. I work on phone lines now. And so one of the customers that called in, he needed help with his mortgage because he said that he was a doctor and he had been in the hospital due to COVID for over 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that's what I said. And then he said that he he was in there for a year and a half and had to have a lung replacement in the meantime, but this was all due to him catching COVID. And so my heart went out to him because I couldn't say not one thing to him, to help him further. And, he was even saying, he was trying to get his mortgage back online because he said he didn't want to leave his family in that kind of debt. Wow. And I thought, oh my goodness.
Wow.
So, and I kept trying to get just a little bit more comment from him, but I just was astounded that he's had it for the last 2 years and had to have a lung replacement because of COVID.
Wow. Yeah, the effect of the long-term effect of COVID right now is just starting to become measured. They're just becoming really aware of it. So long COVID is a real thing. We had discussion on long COVID a couple of weeks ago, so we have a recording of that available if anybody wants to check it out. But micronutrients can help. If nothing else, it just helps a person to become energized and rejuvenated quite a bit. So it's very real. Seyon Baptiste, you have a question or comment, please?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, I have a couple questions. So I noticed on the Micro Daily Hydro, it doesn't say anything about take with food, unlike the EMF and everything else. I guess that's okay. I mean, as far as
it's better to take it with food because it wants to try to bring sugar levels down, and some people it could cause them to bottom out, to feel low. So it can happen. So Dr. Prasad recommends that they take it with food. That's not the reason why he recommends taking any other formulas with food. He recommends it because there's several fat-soluble fibers. Fat-soluble components in the product, in the formula. So most of the ingredients are water-soluble, but there's 3 or 4 of them, vitamin A, E, and 1 or 2 others that are fat-soluble. So you have to have just a little bit of fat in order for them to break down. So that's why he recommends taking it with food.
Got it. Next point.
Well, go ahead.
I noticed, thank you. I noticed, and I missed it when someone asked this question, Dr. Prasad answered it, and I should have written it down, but I'm gonna talk to several vegans this weekend, and someone asked a question similar to what I'm gonna ask about these products concerning vegan, the people that don't like any meat, and he mentioned the collagen is the only thing that have anything in it. I can't remember what it was, but he mentioned the rest of the product is totally vegan. He went into how it's high, I can't remember exactly what he said, but do you remember, or could you elaborate?
I don't remember exactly what he said, but I can tell you that the capsules on Microdaily are vegan, so they're safe. And the second thing I can tell you is that in the collagen itself, the collagen is animal sourced, but it's a peptide. So it's just the best peptide that mimics our body. So, but if someone is just 100% pure vegan, no, they're probably not going to want to go with that collagen. But it's just a peptide. So, but I don't remember exactly what he said, but someone who's 100% pure, they're just not, I can't speak to that. So maybe we'll hit Dr. Prasad again on the next discussion about that. Okay.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Nope, thank you. Appreciate your questions. Stephanie Roberts has another question.
Yes, I have a friend on my phone. Her name is Liz, and she has kidney disease. Would you have, Liz, kidney disease? Yeah. She has diabetes. I have given her the 2-day trial, and she says she doesn't feel any difference. Mm-hmm. So what do you recommend? I told her it worked different with everybody. With me, it give me energy. The first 6 I took, my pain was gone to my knees. So I told her it worked different. And so what do you recommend for her to boost her immune system or whatever this? And she had stomach. I mean, she oftenly going to the doctor for her stomach. What do you recommend?
Take more of it and take it for a longer period of time. Not
Okay.
everyone responds in the first 2 or 3 capsules, and
Okay.
not everyone responds in the first 2 or 3 days. Dr. Prasad says that it could take 90 days to get to know the full benefits
Mhm.
of Micro Daily. So almost every single person that I've seen that has claimed that they're not getting any response from something, and I don't see any difference, those words, is because they're simply not taking enough of the product.
Okay.
But if
All
they
right.
take the product, add the other components to it, add the collagen to the discussion, add the brain boost to the discussion, add the probiotics, especially to the discussion,
Mhm.
and they'll see improvements all the way around. But give it some time. And remember that no matter how much they buy the first month, there's a 90-day money back guarantee.
Okay.
So take it and take it heavy for the first month. If you don't see results, hand the packages back and say, give me my money back.
Okay. You heard him, Liz? Yeah. She said, okay.
Right. So, but come back, Liz, and tell us a story. We want to hear it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And Vera Gill has a question.
Actually, it's a statement. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good evening, everyone. I've been on it 7 days now, I believe, but after 4 days, I felt a lot better. I'm a stage 4 CLL leukemia survivor. And as you can hear the energy in my voice, so it's giving me energy, but the main thing that it helped was the probiotics with my inflammatory bowel situation. I am raw vegan and juicing. So I'm doing everything natural I can because I do not want to take any of the Western medicine. So they say they can take my stage 4 to a stage 1. I'm gonna put it to the test. Let's go.
All right, very good. We've seen a couple cases. We've seen
You're gonna see one here too.
yeah, we've seen 2 that I personally know of that happened. But no, there's actually more. My sister was at stage 4 at one time, and now she called me up. She says my A1C, she says it's as if I don't have diabetes anymore. And that was just being on the products for a short period of time. Greg talks about his brother-in-law. His brother-in-law has gone from stage 4. His EGRF number was at 15. And in just 1 month, it jumped to 26.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it to my kids. My son has stage 3 kidney disease from lupus. We got hit hard, like genetically. 2 kids with lupus, 1 kid with MS, and myself with CLL. 13 years though, so
wow.
I'm very optimistic, and I'm following all the 8 laws of health. Like I'm gonna do everything natural I can possibly do, and when I finish my 3 months, I'm gonna go with the collagen, even if there's bone in there or whatever's in there, because if it helps, it helps. So yeah.
That's it. Very good. So we're looking forward to you coming back and telling your story.
Absolutely.
So, on Thursday nights, by the way, usually on my program, we want to hear testimonials. So if anybody who just wants to share their story, every Thursday night, we just have testimonials. Come and tell your story, and because we want to hear it, because folks need to know what's happening out there in the field. Okay. So thank you very much for your questions and your comments there. It's been absolutely wonderful. So there you have it, folks. The most common question we get is, after these discussions are over with, the most common question is, how do I get this stuff? And that's an easy one. Just get back with the person who invited you, and they'll help you set up a subscription. My recommendation is that you start with Dr. Prasad's Choice Bundle. That's everything. Start with that. If you can't start with that, it's $256 and tax. But if you can't start with that, then start with whatever you can. If you can't do microdaily EMF, if that's too expensive for you, go to microdaily methylated. If that's too expensive, go to the microdaily original. The only difference between microdaily original and all the others is the methylated Bs. They're more advanced. I highly, highly, highly recommend the microdaily EMF. It's the best, most powerful formula that we have. That's the best one. But go with what your budget, will allow for. Get started. Put it in your body, and don't sit back and just say, "Well, I don't notice anything." Give it a try. You'd be amazed at how many things is going wrong inside our body without our being aware of it. So let something right start happening in your body for a change and give your body a fighting chance. It does absolutely positively impact the body's immune system. So once again, for the record, my name is Jonathan Jones. It's been my pleasure, my privilege to be your host and moderator for the evening. These comments have not been evaluated by the FDA. And I'm not a medical doctor. I strongly recommend that you seek the competent medical advice of professionals that you trust. Now, what that means is that you can take this information into consideration when making a decision about your health and well-being. Highly recommend that. Testimonials that you hear are purely anecdotal. What happens to one person may or may not happen to someone else. But that's no reason not to give it a good try. Microdaily is one of the most amazing products, I believe, that has ever been unleashed. Have access to the product. So thank you very much for joining us. See you on Thursday. Remember,
Thank you, Jonathan.
Sunday, Dr. Prasad, anti-aging. We're talking Dr. Prasad, anti-aging is coming Sunday. Thursday night, come and tell your story. You guys have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you, Jonathan. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you, everybody.
Let's
Thank you,
go!
James. Thank you, James, for getting on.
Let's go!